Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back to your auditing class. And I hope you have been doing well. I am very, very excited for our fifth lecture on chapter number 4. We have done a lot of new things, new concepts, new essays in this chapter. And I hope you have been revising, you have been revisiting after the class, because immediately after the class, if you keep seeing it, there will be a very long-term retention. So I hope you're doing your job well. And so now let's start the class. Sit upright, keep your books, notebooks, pen, water bottle, everything in front of you, and let's get ready for the next 2.5 hours of studying. Completing the essay number 520 and studying a new essay 530 and hopefully 550. So let's get started. Everything is clear. You can hear me. You can see me clearly. Everything is okay. Quickly let me know and we can start. All right. Before we start, how many of you can tell me what are 3 types of audit risks? Quickly tell me what are 3 types of audit risk. Let me know quickly. You can write down and in the chat box the answer. Little bit, 2 minutes we'll do quick revision. Then we'll move on to new topic. Not one students. Write down all the 3 different types of audit risks. Don't write one, please. Very good, Hemin. Inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. Very good, Pooja. Absolutely correct. Inherent risk, control risk, and detection risk. Very good. Nikunj, you are also correct. Absolutely. All of you are correct. Mehak, you are also absolutely correct. Inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. Very good. Tanu is also correct. Okay. So next question to you is, what is risk of material misstatement? What is included in risk of material misstatement? You can write in short form just for quick answer. You can write in short form what is included in risk of material misstatement. Very good, Karan. IR and CR, that is inherent risk and controlled risk. Very good. Okay, inherent risk, controlled risk. Pooja, you are also right. So that is about them. Then who can tell me 4 techniques? 4 techniques to do analytical procedures. We studied it in last class. 4 techniques to do analytical procedure. You can write in short, quick format for quick revision. 4 techniques of analytical procedure. Yes, Karan, 2 are correct. Trend analysis, ratio analysis. What else? 2 more. Very good, Tanu. She has given all the 4. Trend, ratio, reasonableness test, and structural modeling. Gayatri, you are also right. Trend analysis, ratio analysis, structural modeling, and reasonableness test. Hemin, just 1 point is wrong. But like in general terminology, it's correct, but you have to write the word structural modeling. You cannot write data analytics, okay? Correct, Mehak. Correct, Pooja. Okay. Prachi, regression analysis is an example of structural modeling, Prachi, okay? So in example, you can mention, but the main point will mention structural modeling, and in example, we can mention regression analysis, okay? Good. I'm glad about this. What is essay number for analytical procedure? What is essay number? Quickly tell me. Very good, Karan. Karan is winning today. All answers he has given first. All answers he has given first. 520. Essay number 520. Absolutely correct. Pooja, Mehak, Tanu, Nikunj, Surinder, Suhera, Hemin, all of you have given correct answer. All right. So since we are on essay 520, Avjeet, you are also correct. Since we are on essay number 520, should we continue now? So last time we finished almost 90%. Little bit is left that we will do now. I'll give you a short recap so that you can have a continuation flow and you don't feel that it is broken down. So if you remember, ma'am, please one more question. Okay, you want to have one more question? Let me think of a good question. Okay, so my question is that in essay 501, what are the three special items for which essay 501 is created? For what are the three special items, special considerations we have to take in essay 501? Which items are there? Inventory, one correct. What else? Okay, Pooja, you have won this time. Inventory, litigation and claim, and segment reporting. Absolutely correct, Pooja. Inventories, litigation, claim, segment reporting. Nikunj, you are also right. Inventory, segment reporting, litigation, and claim. But in inventory, which assertion is covered in SA 505? Now, this is a little hard question. Which assertion is covered in essay number 501 for inventory? Which assertion is covered? Yes, very good, Gayatri, very good, Pooja, Kashish. Existence and condition. Okay, existence and condition. All right. Now, can we move on? Now, can we start? Yes. Okay. So when we go for exercises, we do some warm up, right? So this is like a warm up exercise. So we are back to the gym and we are doing muscle training of our brain to remember audit and to understand audit, and our warm up exercise is completed. So now let's get to the actual work. And today is lot of brain day. So like you have leg day and all. So today is brain day. So let's get Prachi, good evening, ma'am. I missed to wish you. It's completely okay. Don't worry about all that. So, analytical procedure, SA 520. What did I tell you? That as an auditor, to do overall all the work, I'll quickly go through all the things I wrote for you that day and do a quick revision because there was a little part left. So, analytical procedure, I explained to you with a few examples. So basically, analytical procedure is about that when as an auditor, you are doing just vouching and you are doing just verification, you might miss on certain things that need further analysis because they have some sort of abnormality, they have some sort of fluctuation, and that is why you need to dwell further in it. And that is when analytical procedures help you. An analytical procedure, what was it? The definition was it is evaluation of financial information by doing analysis of relationships between financial data and non-financial data. After doing this analysis, you have to investigate as necessary the identified fluctuations or relationships that are inconsistent with other information or expected values. So this was a very important part that we did. Now, two objectives are there, that obtain relevant and reliable audit evidence when you're using substantive analytical procedure, and to design and perform analytical procedure near the end to give an overall conclusion. All this we finished. All this was full of examples, example, again example, again example. But who can tell me which trick I gave you to remember factors when choosing substantive analytical procedure? Pinadas, absolutely correct. Karan is on fire today, absolutely attentive and giving first answer for everything. So, Pinadas. So, Pinadas was all the points. So, what were Pinadas? We'll quickly go through it. There should be predictability. Then you have to check the inherent risk of the item, what assertion you are testing, reliable data, which means you have to check the reliability regarding good data should be available. You have to check the disaggregated, whether the data can be disaggregated, type of account that you are checking. You have to check the source of the information, and that is where you have the Pinadas as your answer. Okay, so Pinadas are done. Then we moved on to this main thing, and this is what we were doing. Okay, analytical procedure, if you want to use a substantive procedure, you have to follow the following steps. First, you have to see suitability. So, the analytical procedures are suitable when you are doing, when there are large volume of transactions that are predictable, or when there are less volumes of transactions that are predictable. When is it more suitable? When there are large volume of transactions? Absolutely correct. Good. Yes, large. Okay. So that is suitability, that whenever there is large volume of transaction which become predictable over time and there is a pattern attached to it, then it is more suitable. When is it more reliable? Do you remember the 4 points I taught you for more reliability? What were the 4 points? Reliability. When is it more reliable? It depends on the source. It depends on the comparability. It depends on the relevance, and it depends on the nature of control. So if the control is better, reliability will be high or less. If the control is good, the reliability will be less or more? Good. If the source is independent, the reliability will be high or low? If the source is independent, reliability will be high or low? High. Very good. So the second structure, second step, if you want to use analytical procedure as a substantive procedure, is check the reliability. Then third is develop an expectation. Why we need to develop an expectation? Because you can only do analysis when there is something to compare it with. Can I analyze anything if there is nothing to compare it with? No. So analysis of anything depends on having some information to compare, whether it is an expectation that you are creating or whether it is a data that exists. But there should be something to compare it with. So even if I'm checking as small as something like a conveyance expense, everyone knows what's a conveyance expense. So within the city for work, if you are making some traveling, then we write conveyance expense. But if you're traveling out of the city, then we usually write as traveling expense. But if it is transport expense, what does it mean? Usually, if you write transport expense, what will it usually mean? Freight, which means for supply of goods, for getting some materials, for supplying to your sellers, all these expenses are transport. So each word has a significance. Transport is usually part of manufacturing account or trading account, and traveling expenses are usually part of P&L account. Conveyance expenses are usually local transport expenditure, again usually part of P&L account. So each word has its use. So even if I am checking something like a conveyance expense, so if my staff has regularly gone to income tax office or GST office and has taken an auto for it or a bus for it, is it necessary that I will find vouchers for everything? Is it necessary that I'll find vouchers for everything? No. So I can create an expectation estimation that in this kind of company, for this kind of work, for XYZ number of employees, there can be an expenditure on conveyance of around 2 to 3 lakhs, right? So I can create an expectation. So that is called as developing an expectation. So this is where we left last time. Now are you in sync? कहाँ पिछली बार छोड़ा था और कहाँ इस बार शुरू कर रहे हैं? पूरा सिंक में आ गया? Everything in sync now? Okay, disconnect feel nahi ho raha hai na? You're not feeling disconnected? Okay, so how to develop that expectation? So that is the point we are going to study now. Yeah. Evaluation of whether expectation is precise. So one of the most important thing is that if I am telling you that in a company which has 30 employees with a lot of GST work, there is 2 employees regularly going to GST office for some or the other problem, what should be the expectation of conveyance expense? What do you think? What range will you give as an auditor? 20 employees, 20 employees की company है, okay? The company has 20 employees. 2 employees regularly go to GST office within the same city. So how much conveyance expense will you expect in such a company? Usually that is the major conveyance. Otherwise they work in the office only. Or sometimes they go to the client's office. So create an expectation. That expectation will only be useful if it can be reasonably precise, अगर मैं उसको एक reasonable precision दे सकूं, accuracy nahi, am I using the word accuracy? No, some preciseness, which means I should know the local rates, I should know the distance between the company and the GST office, and I should know that usually bus route hai ya auto route hai ya cab route hai. So this basic information I can get, and I can create an assumption. So to create an assumption, I need three things. First, there should be information available. If information is not available, if they cannot tell me how many employees go, they say some employee goes, ma'am, we don't know how many. If they don't tell me exact number of employees or some approximate, can I get it? No. If I don't have information about what is the rates for auto there, can I get it? No. So to develop an expectation, there should be first some information available. Then that information should be disaggregated. What does it mean by disaggregated? Quickly tell me, I taught you last time. Let's see how many of you remember. Yes, separated, categorized, broken down into smaller information. So if you get a general, and yes, divided, very good. So if you get a general information about, let's say, wages, but they cannot categorize into different kind of workers, can you create expectation? No. So good expectation can be created when the information is more disaggregated. Less disaggregation, which means accuracy is lesser of the expectation. Okay. So if I tell you like this, if disaggregation is more, then accuracy of expectation, preciseness. The preciseness of expectation will rise or fall down. If there is disaggregation is more, then preciseness would be high. Very good. Very good, Nikunj, Gayatri, Tanu. Very good. So, if the information available is less, accuracy of expectation will rise or fall. If the availability of information is less, will fall. Now you understood what I am teaching you? I am teaching you that what factors affect the expectations, okay? Preciseness of it. And what is the third point? Accuracy with which expected results can be predicted. Okay, tell me this. If it's gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, do they have more pattern or less pattern of predictability? GP ratio and NP ratio, if you want to compare with last 5 years, is it possible to compare it accurately? Is it possible to compare it more accurately? So is GP ratio, NP ratio, more pattern accuracy is there? More comparativeness is there? But if I tell you about advertisement expenses, can it differ a lot from year to year? Can it change a lot from year to year? Yes. And does it mean that high advertisement expenditure has happened? Does it mean that it will lead to high sales? Does it have that comparison with sales? That someone is doing high advertisement expenditure means there will be high sales? No, not necessary, maybe. So, in which case can you predict or create an expectation with more accuracy? In GP case or in advertisement case? In GP case. So in GP case, there will be more chances of accuracy. So if you are an auditor and you have to take a decision on ground that कहाँ पे मैं analytical procedure use करूंगा. So अगर आपको GP और advertisement के बीच में choose करना पड़े, तो कहाँ पे ज्यादा possibility है analytical procedure use करने की? So if you are an auditor and you have to choose between GP and advertisement, which item will you choose? Which type of account you will choose? GP, ma'am. In advertisement, what will you do more? In advertisement, what will you do more? To check advertisement, what more can you do? What other things will you do? Studying the agreement, studying the contract, vouching it, reading it. Yes. So the third decision, the third factor that can affect if the expectation can be precise is accuracy with which the expected results can be predicted. I gave you the same example as book. The auditor may expect greater consistency in comparing gross profit margin from one period to another than in comparing discretionary expenses like research and advertising. Everyone clear? अच्छे से? Properly clear? So what did we study? हमने क्या पढ़ा अभी? What did we study? Matters. Remember, please underline this word. Matters which are relevant to make auditor decide whether expectation can be developed precisely. How does the auditor take the judgment that whether expectation can be developed precisely for a certain item? So he checks three things: whether the information is available to check that item, how much information can be disaggregated in that particular item, and accuracy with which I can predict results in this kind of item. So if these three things are high, which means the accuracy with which your analytical procedures will work will also be high. Is that clear? Now is it clear? So remember this answer. This bottom to top I have taken because it's easier to remember that way. So matters relevant to an auditor's evaluation whether expectation can be developed sufficiently is availability of information, both financial, non-financial, then degree to which it can be disaggregated, and accuracy with which you can predict. Okay, finished. Now, if it comes in exam, you have to write with example and mention essays 520. Okay. So if it comes in exam, please ensure that this examples you'll write. I have explained you examples already. So information can be disaggregated more effective if there are diversified components. So you divide it into different components and do it, and don't just apply analytical procedure for the whole entity with the total amount. And availability is whether the information is available. Okay. So suppose even if you go to a company and they are able to tell you we have 3 crores sale, but if I ask you, give me in units, kitni sari sell hui? How many sari were you able to sell? Give me the amount, give me the quantity. So if that data is easily available, that means it's good and you can do analysis better. Finished. Okay, can I move on to next topic now, students? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, good. So the remember, I asked you one question that day. It's okay. I'll just write it again. So let's say your expectation, let's say your expectation of you're checking a hotel and you are checking all the sales, okay, which is basically room rent sales. So your expectations you have developed is 1 crore, but actual is 96 lakh. Now you tell me whether for you it is acceptable or not. You tell me whether for you it's acceptable or not, this difference of 4 lakh rupees. In 1 crore sale, how did you decide this? How did you take this decision that 4 lakh is acceptable? Because it's only 4%, ma'am. Can it be different? What if I tell you, I give you one more information. What if in last 3 years, they have had income tax raid 3 times and they have been penalized for understating their sales? What if in last 3 years, 2 times income tax rate has happened? Now tell me if this difference is acceptable to you. Now will you check, now will you want only 1%, 2% difference? So it can change, yes or no? It depends on the information, it depends on the entity, it depends on what information you have. But who takes the decision that kitna acceptable hai? You know what do we call it? Tolerable deviation. Okay? How much tolerable rate of deviation? So if deviation of 4% is acceptable or not, whether 2% is acceptable or not, document it properly during your planning itself, that when we are checking it, we will only accept a tolerable rate of deviation of 3% in room rent or 2% in room rent. Do you understand now? So this is what the next part is. So if you remember, there were 4 points. Determine acceptable difference. So if we want to use analytical procedure as substantive procedure, first decide the suitability, then reliability, then develop an expectation, and then determine the acceptable difference. That's it. So this answer is also very quickly done, very easy. The auditor's determination of the amount of difference from the expectation that can be accepted without any further investigation is influenced by materiality and the consistency of the desired level of assurance. Okay. So what is your desired level? Desired level assurance kiska? Whose desired level of assurance? Auditor. How much assurance do I want? Do I want 98% assurance? Do I want 99% assurance? Do I want 99.99% assurance? How much degree of assurance do I want from auditing this? So the desire of assurance that you want, that decides that how much difference is acceptable to you. Okay? ऐसे 330 क्या बोलता है? What does it say? You need more persuasive evidence for higher risk. Yes or no? This is very obvious. More risk, more persuasive evidence. Okay? जितना ज़्यादा risk, you need more persuasive evidence. Okay. Now, this is next topic is very important for case studies. What does it say? Let's say you have found a deviation or fluctuation on sales of around 60%. Okay. So you have found a fluctuation in comparison to last year. So you are comparing this year's sales to last year's sales and you have found a deviation or a fluctuation of 60%. Is that a material fluctuation, do you think? First, take that decision. Take that decision. Is this material? Okay. Is this a very high fluctuation? Yes. Will you investigate further? Will you investigate further? Think like an auditor. Okay. Now the question is how to investigate. You think and tell me how to investigate further. What is the first thing you will do? You came to know there's a 60% deviation. Your client is sitting in front of me. He's showing you his P&L balance sheet and you see 60% jump in sales, sir. What is the first thing you'll do? Think practically. What is the first thing you'll do? Your client is sitting in front of you. You have seen this fluctuation 60%. What is the first thing you will do? Talk with management. Inquire. Very good. How will I investigate further? First thing I'll do is ask. Simple. Do one thing. Ask. Inquiring of management. Okay. Let's say management gives you the answer that this year we received We received new investment last year at the end of the year. And so this year, we have opened 10 new branches, plus we have found a supplier who is cheap. So we were able to reduce our this sale price. They have given you this explanation. Now what you will do? I am the management. I have given you this explanation. You are the auditor. Tell me, what will you do next? I have given you explanation. What will you do? Tanu is saying verify. Verify what? Verify what? Verify the explanation. मैंने अगर आपको कुछ बोल दिया, इसका मतलब आप उसको मान लोगे? You asked me a question. I gave you an explanation. Then what will you do? You will check that explanation. Yes or no? Okay. So inquiring of management plus obtaining appropriate audit evidence for management response. Understood? So I'll tell them, okay, show me the new contracts, show me the investment you have made, give me proof of the 10 new branches you have opened, show me the contract with your new supplier, show me the calculation of new selling price, give me a few sales bills of this year and last year so that I can compare the change in the sale price. Yes or no? So I will check and obtain evidence regarding management's response. Okay. Now you come to know either you are satisfied with management's response or you are not satisfied with the management's response. Okay. So if you are satisfied, then okay, you'll start your audit normally. But what if management is not able to give you a satisfactory response? What will you do then? So there is a sale increase in sales for 60%. You asked management, but management is unable to give appropriate explanation. What will you do then? Management is not able to give you appropriate explanation. Management TCWG, they were not able to give. Then simple. Or even if they have given explanation, you don't find it satisfactory, what will you do? Simple. No, my audit opinion will not change. Then I will try to find the reason on my own. Simple. 60% सेल में इंक्रीज है, मैनेजमेंट मुझे ढंग से जवाब और एक्सप्लेनेशन सेटिस्फैक्टरी नहीं दे पाया. इसका मतलब ये है कि मिसस्टेटमेंट मिल गया मुझे. Have I found a misstatement because management was not able to give me explanation? What if the management is new? They have just taken the leadership 1 week back. So they are not able to satisfactorily give me answers. So if management is unable to give it, does it mean that immediately I'll give modified opinion? Does it mean you have found evidence for misstatement? No, you have found possibility of risk. What have you found? You have found possibility of risk, which means you will do more audit procedures. And by doing other audit procedures, you will try to find evidence as to what is happening in the company. Understood now? And this is your answer. Simple. If analytical procedures you have performed and you have found fluctuations and relationships that are inconsistent, then you will investigate. What will you do investigating? Inquiring from management and obtaining audit evidence relevant to management's response. Audit evidence relevant to management's response may be obtained by evaluating those responses, taking into account auditor's understanding of entity and its environment and other evidence obtained. So whatever explanation they are giving you, see if it appears to be correct as per your understanding of business and as per your other audit evidence. Performing other audit procedures as necessary. They need to perform other audit procedures. For example, if management is unable to provide an explanation or explanation together with audit evidence is not considered adequate. Okay, finished? Done? Now to the last paragraph of this essay number 520. Last paragraph. Analytical procedures that assist when uh, forming an overall conclusion. So, do you remember the objective? What is the objective of this essay? Obtain relevant and reliable information when using a substantive analytical procedure. तो हमारा last पूरा lecture and अभी तक का lecture, last lecture until now lecture, we were doing only this one objective. Yes, I was teaching you how to use analytical procedure as substantive procedure. Yes or no? But there are two objectives as per essay 520. The second objective is you have to design and perform analytical procedure near the end to give overall conclusion. And that small paragraph is the second objective. Are you understanding the link that I am making, students? Everyone is understanding the link that I am making? So what are we going to study now? We have studied the first objective. But now as per essay 520, we are studying the second objective. That how does analytical procedure help in overall conclusion? Very small. The conclusions drawn from result of analytical procedure are intended to corroborate conclusions formed during audit of individual components. What does it mean by corroborate? What did I teach you? Corroborate का मतलब क्या होता है? What does corroborate mean? Quickly tell me. What is a corroborative evidence? Very good, Nikunj. To support, to confirm, to support. Okay? To confirm or to support. Let's say if I have to ask you, were last chapter notes updated? So let's say Anil says, yes, ma'am. Then I ask Nikunj, can you confirm? And Nikunj also says, yes, ma'am. So what did I do? I corroborated the evidence received from Anil with Nikunj. Do you understand? So both are saying yes. Is the evidence corroborated then? Anil is also saying, yes, ma'am, it's uploaded. Nikunj is also saying, yes, ma'am, it's uploaded. So what did Nikunj do? Nikunj gave a corroborative evidence to Anil's answer. Is that clear? Same way during the audit, when we are doing, let's say I am checking wages. And during the wages, let's say we are a cottage industry. We make handmade envelopes. Okay. We make handmade envelopes. And each day we have created this rate that per 100 envelope you will be paid, let's say 50 rupees. Okay. So how much workers will be paid? 50 rupees. So I have verified wages. And now if I check production data, can it be used as a corroborative evidence? Tell me quickly. If I independently check production data, should they match each other? Should they support each other? Yes, because both are directly related. Understood? So the evidence of wages should corroborate the evidence of production. Yes or no? जबकि wages तो rupees में होगी and number of employees में होगी and production number of units में होगा. फिर भी ये एक दूसरे से corroborate कर सकते हैं? Yes. So as an auditor, when you are reaching the conclusive stage, okay, when you have done your job and now you are trying to tie everything together, okay, you have to see that when the procedures are done, whether you are doing analysis or anything. So let's say for wages, I did analytical procedure. For production, I did vouching and verification. Should they still support each other? The conclusion, should they still support each other? For production, I did full vouching verification, but for wages, it was not possible to check everything. So I did analysis. Should they still corroborate with each other? Yes. So when you are reaching the end stage of audit, You have to see whether the analytical procedure results which are intended, where you expect it to corroborate, it is properly corroborating with individual components or not. This helps assist an auditor to give a reasonable conclusion. Okay. The analytical procedure may also identify a previously unrecognized risk of material misstatement. Do you remember the rent example I gave you? I told you that my assistant checked rent agreement, checked the bank statement, and everything was matching each other. But when we checked the rent paid by other, yes, 50,000, 10,000. Yes, correct, Nikunj. So can it happen that analytical procedure can help me recognize new risks? So sometimes analytical procedure can help you recognize new risk also. So that time auditor is supposed to revise auditor's assessment and do more audit procedures. So the analytical procedure does not just help you to do substantive test, but it also helps you to form a conclusion. Is that clear? Okay. So here we are done with essay number 520 is finished. The example of wages will come under structural modeling. Yes, Gayatri. So let's say you are checking last 3 years of data and you find a correlation that every time production increase by 10 times. Let's say you are analyzing last 3 years of data. You check that every time production increases by 3 times, the wages increase by 1.5 times. So with this, you can predict current year. So structural modeling can be created. Have I answered your question, Gayatri? Okay, good. Okay, so essay 520 is done. We'll move on to the next essay now. That is essay number 530. So we are doing in flow. We have done 500. We have done 501. We have done 505. We have done 510. We have done 520. And now we are doing 530. Can you see how many essays we have done in this chapter? Now I want to give you one small tip about this chapter, okay? Let's say that audit subject is finished, classes are finished, okay? Or this chapter is finished long back and some other chapters and other subjects are going on. But theory needs a repeated revision, right? Whether it's this or whether it is strategic management, any theory needs revision, okay? So let's say that every day you are tired from attending all the class and you are studying the, let's say, FM is going on, any subject is going on, accounts is going on. So you're studying whole day that. So you have only 1 hour to give to audit, right? So instead of taking chapter 4 as a whole chapter, you can say, okay, today I'll study only 510. I have time to study only, revise only 510. Next day, you can take, okay, I have time to study only 520. So you can divide the chapter as essays instead of thinking that I have to study one whole chapter. It's so big. It is a 100-page chapter. I cannot take up a 100-page chapter right now. I don't have time. So for future, remember that don't think of this as 100-page chapter, but think of it as 10 pages for each essay. Do you understand? So can you do one essay? One essay is only 10 pages, right? So दिन में हमारे पास 100 पेज तो उठाने की हिम्मत नहीं है, बट 10 पेज उठाने की हिम्मत है अगर दिन बहुत बिजी रहा है. Yes, we can do that much. So don't think of this chapter as a 100-page chapter. Think of this chapter as individual topics of 10 pages. Okay? क्योंकि इसमें कोई कंटिन्यूटी ब्रेक नहीं होगी. अगर आपने 520 पढ़ लिया तो पढ़ लिया, उसका फिर 510 से ऐसा नहीं है कि कंटिन्यूएशन है, राइट? So don't think of this chapter as a 100-page chapter. This is a actually essay-based revision. So even if you don't have, so why am I giving you this tip? Audit needs to be revised. बस ये एक simple basic rule है. That's just the fact. You have to accept it. Instead of fighting it, accept the fact and now think how to make it work. It's a fact that audit needs to be revised. How to do it. So once you have accepted it, you will stop fighting it. You will stop thinking, how will I remember? No. I have to revise audit multiple times. That is a fact. Every day, if possible, I have to revise audit for half an hour, 45 minutes. Then only I can remember. It's a fact. Every day, even if other subjects are going on, I have to do theory subjects for 1 hour. Even if I'm doing 2 practicals in a day, it is a fact. But I cannot study the 100-page chapter overwhelms me. That is also a fact. What can I do? I don't have bandwidth to pick up a chapter, but I have bandwidth to take up a small essay. So think of your chapters as small essays. Okay? After your explanation, ma'am, everything remembered in class, then I am doing second time revision. Very good, Mehak. So audit needs to be revised. There is no other secret ingredient to this recipe. This is the secret. Open secret. You need revision. Chalo. We'll move on to essay number 530. We have to do a little journey to the top. Okay, yeah. 4.44 page number. 4.44 page number, everyone can come. And we'll start with essay number 530. This is again an independent topic, okay? So as usual, before we start with the theory of the book, I'll give you an understanding and an explanation, and then we will come to the book, okay? Pay attention. Essay 530, audit sampling. Okay, pay attention. So I have sort of briefly given you what is sampling when I was explaining you other first 3 chapters and even in this chapter. The basic logic is that after industrial revolution happened, there has been increase after line assembly system, machineries, all these things came into picture. The volume of the business that an individual company can do has increased a lot. Then after globalization and privatization, the presence of a company has again increased a lot. And then especially after digital revolution that we went through, because of e-commerce, now your transactions can run into thousands and lakhs per day. Okay. So it became necessary with time that auditors have to do something about it. Okay. What happened that even if I check 100%, let's say a company has total purchase bills. They have a total 10 lakh purchase bills. Can I check each and every bill? 10 lakh purchase bills are there. But let's say I gave my day and night to the company and I have put 100 employees to do this and I checked 100%. I did 100% verification. Does it mean that I can give absolute assurance or audit risk is 0? If I check 100%, does it mean that I can give absolute assurance or the audit risk is 0? No. There is audit risk still exists. Assurance is still reasonable. Yes or no? Assurance अभी भी reasonable ही है. Audit risk कभी भी exist करता है. So even if I'm doing 100% verification, there is no guarantee that whatever I'm checking is absolutely 100% giving me assurance. So a few pragmatic auditors with time. Pragmatic auditors with time and plus internal control system becoming organized and structured. So as and when internal control system started becoming more organized, which means you will rarely see people making bills manually these days, right? Even if you go to a smallest roadside, small open restaurant, they might give you a computerized bill, yes or no? So people have started taking internal control systems, making it more organized, making it more structured. Plus, pragmatic auditors means forward thinking auditors thought that if I do 100% verification and if I check similar items, whom we call as homogeneous items, that becomes like a routine work. Yes or no? It becomes more like a clerical task because it's very less possibility that there you would find a lot of misstatements or problems in it, right? So similar items of homogeneous nature were there, which means these bills, even if they are 10 lakh bills, they will mostly be similar things. So auditors thought that if I am checking similar items of homogeneous nature and internal control is becoming more and more organized and structured, why not take a calculated risk? So if checking 100% will also give me reasonable assurance, I can take a decision to check, let's say 50%, and it will still, if it will give me reasonable assurance, why not check only 50? So sampling naturally happened with time. There is no law that says that whether you can do sampling or whether you can't do sampling. Is there any law? कंपनी एक्ट में कहीं लिखा है कि ऑडिटर सैम्पलिंग कर सकता है कि नहीं कर सकता? In company law, anywhere is it written whether I can do sampling or I cannot do sampling? Even this standard does not tell you whether you can do sampling or you cannot do sampling. The point is, auditor has to give audit opinion that P&L and balance sheet show true and fair view and become bound by it. My job is I have to give opinion on the P&L balance sheet, whether it shows true and fair view, and I am bound by it. How I reach this opinion? How much I checked? That is a risk I decide. So does this ऐसे tell you कि sampling करो चलेगा? Is this ऐसे telling you do sampling? Is this telling you that? No. Is this ऐसे telling you don't do sampling? No. It's saying if you decide to do sampling, I can guide you what to keep in mind. Do you understand? So this essay is not telling you whether you can do sampling or you cannot do sampling. It is telling you if you have taken the decision to do sampling, you have taken the decision to do sampling, what things to keep in mind when you are doing sampling and what are the different methods of sampling available. But at the end, you are the one responsible for your opinion. And if anyone has any doubt on your work or your dedication or your professionalism. They can question you and you have to prove them that why you did a good job. Is this clear to everyone? Till now, I have not taught you any theory. I have just explained you the essence of the standard. Is everyone clear with this much? So tell me, is it obligatory or mandatory on an auditor to do sampling? Tell me this. Is it obligatory to not do sampling? Okay. So who has to take the judgment whether I'll do sampling or not and how much sampling I'll do? Who has to take that judgment? Auditor. So in this essay, will I teach you whether you can do 50% sampling or 30% sampling or 80% sampling? Will I give you any formula? Will I give you any formula? Statistical formula मैं कुछ दूंगी आपको? कुछ नहीं. But I will teach you what things to keep in mind. Okay? Okay. So before we start this, I want to teach you a few terms which will be useful. Okay? कुछ शब्द, कुछ concepts, some words, some concepts that will be useful. First is population. Population means what? Population is the overall thing from which you are going to choose sample. So if I am choosing 5 datas, what is my population? Datas is my population, right? So if out of 1000 datas, I have chosen 50 datas, what is my population size? If out of 1000 datas, I have chosen 50 datas, what is my population size? 1000. And what is my sample size? What is my sample size? 50. Okay, very good. Now, what is the objective? What is the objective here? The main objective of the auditor is to provide reasonable assurance, reasonable basis for auditor to draw conclusions about population, to draw conclusions about population from sample selected. Means if there are 1000 datas and I'm choosing 50 as sample, by checking 50, I am giving an opinion on 1000. Yes or no? By checking only 50, so all 50, everything was okay. So I'm saying all 1000 are okay. Yes or no? By checking the sample, I'm giving a conclusion on the population. Yes or no? Remember this word. By checking the sample, auditor is giving an opinion or a conclusion on the population. And how to do that is the objective of this essay. Provide reasonable basis for auditor to draw conclusions about population from sample selected. So this essay will teach you that how you can make sure that you are doing a good job. So the main art in this is how to choose samples. Yes or no? The main art is how to choose sample, not just the number, how to reach the decision and how to choose the sample and what are the things we need to keep in mind. Okay. Now, the important thing that I want to tell you is there are 2 types of basic sampling. Okay. Sampling is usually of 2 types. This you will see in the whole book all the time, this chapter. There is statistical and non-statistical. Statistical and non-statistical. So I'll just give you a general, then we'll study the theory later, but this word will be used regularly, so I'm just explaining to you. So sampling can be statistical and non-statistical. What does it mean? Pay attention. How many of you know lottery method? Lottery method. Chits I have made of a paper. I have made different chits, and then from that chit I pick up one chit. So let's say there are sales in a company, and I make chits of each month. So how many chits will I make? How many chits will I make? Total 12 chits. Okay. So 12 chits. And I have decided that my sample is 4. So how many months will I check fully? How many months will I check fully? 4 months I'll check fully. So now this 12 chits I have put in a basket. I have moved it, shaped it, and picked 4 chits out of it. Is that a statistical sampling or a non-statistical sampling? That is my question. I have shaken up, I've picked up 4. How many of you saying statistical sampling hai ya non? Just tell me from these 2 words, whether it is statistical or non-statistical. Let me see who is saying what. Lohit is saying non-statistical, madam. Tanu is saying non-statistical. Nikunj is saying statistical. Balamurugan is saying statistical. Anil is saying not non-statistical. Tanu is saying statistical. Pooja is saying random sampling. No, tell me statistical or non-statistical, Pooja. Suhaira is saying non-statistical. Kashish is saying non-statistical. Karan is saying statistical. Tanu is saying non-statistical. Maithili is saying non-statistical. Pooja is saying statistical. Hemining is saying statistical. Ankita is saying non-statistical. Prajapati Namrata is saying non-statistical. So I think it's almost equal, I feel. So let's see, drum roll, who wins? The correct answer, the sahi jawab for 0 rupees, but many marks is statistical. The correct answer is statistical. मुबारक हो, आप जीतते हैं 0 रुपये, but बहुत सारा मेरा gratitude and बहुत सारा मेरा प्यार. Statistical. Those who said statistical, can you explain why you said statistical? Anyone want to raise your hand and explain why you said statistical? Based on number of months, ma'am. Okay. Anyone else? Non-statistical would involve human to take decision. Anil, in equal importance to all. Very good. Was there any bias involved? Tell me quickly. Any bias on human judgment involved in it? Was any human judgment involved? I'll again repeat. I am going to audit sales of a company. I want to take a decision what and how much sales to audit. I have taken the decision that I will select on the basis of months. So I have made 12 chits. Each chit has January, February, March, like that I have made. I have closed the chits. I have put it in a box and I am shaking it and I'm picking any 4 out of it. And let's say it comes June, July, August, November. Okay. Was there any human judgment involved in choosing these 4 months? Was there any human judgment involved? Did I use my own experience to take the decision? of selecting these 4 months? Did I use some past experience to choose these 4 months? Did all the 12 months have equal chances of getting selected? Did each unit had equal probability of getting selected? 1/12, 1/12, 1/12. So what method it becomes? What method it becomes automatically? Statistical. When probability theory is used, statistical का मतलब ये मत सोचो कि कोई फॉर्मूला लगा के करेंगे तभी वो statistical होता है. Don't think that statistical means only when I'm using some complex statistics formula, then only it is statistical. Even random number sampling is statistical. Do you understand? If I ask Siri or ChatGPT, let's say I don't want to make this chits and all. Suppose I tell ChatGPT, select any 4 months out of 12. Tell me, is that statistical or non-statistical? If I ask ChatGPT to select 4 months. Statistical or non-statistical? If I ask ChatGPT to select any 4. Statistical. Now I'll tell you what is non-statistical. Okay. Let's say I give you this information that this sales is a crackers company. Is a company that sells crackers. And I don't want to use statistical method. What? How do you think judgment can be useful in selecting months here? I think that mostly crackers are used during sports events when some winning is happened, wedding season, or Diwali season, or maximum sometimes New Year. Yes or no? So, keeping this information in mind, will I take the judgment to choose those months when these important things are happening? Yes or no? What if I use chit method and all the months selected, nothing happens in them? जून जुलाई अगस्त तो बारिश का सीजन हो गया, कौन शादी करता है? ना दिवाली है. So if I use statistical method, will I choose a good sample? If I use statistical method here, will I choose a good sample? Not necessary. It may select months that are of no use at all, where the sales are very less. Yes or no? So, if I think I have good experience and if the situation demands that auditor uses judgment and experience to select months, so I may select October, November, February, March. Yes or no? Or I can even divide it. I may think, okay, let me take 1 month where no sales happen. So usually I can decide, okay, I will not do anything in February. Let me choose one July month so that we know that nothing happens that time to use crackers. Let's see what happens in the company when there are no sales. Yes or no? But what if I sent Nikunj for audit? Nikunj is my staff. You are Nikunj, you are an article, okay? And Nikunj wants to go home early because he wants to watch a match. And he's getting very late. But मैंने instruction दिया कि 4 महीना तो check करना ही है निकुंज. 4 months you have to check निकुंज. So he chooses the thinnest files. Okay, he says, in 12 महीने में कौन सी फाइल सबसे पतली है? Yes, ma'am, I have checked 4. He chose all the 4 thinnest files and checked it. So what problem did happen here when judgment was used? What problem can happen in non-statistical techniques? Bias. Do you understand? Bias. So usually statistical method is usually considered to be better when the items are more homogeneous. So in this, were 12 months homogeneous? Tell me. 12 के 12 महीने homogeneous थे? Were all 12 months homogeneous? Did they have similar same flow? No. They had seasonal sales. So in seasonal sales, we call it diversified population. Yes or no? What is our population here? Number of months. Is it very diversified or homogeneous? Diversified. Because January can be very different than November. Yes or no? So they are diversified. So usually statistical sampling is used. It is a more scientific method, definitely. It uses more probability and statistical methods. But sometimes if the auditor genuinely uses his judgment and experience, even non-statistical method can be a good choice. So is it a thing that statistical is lower than non-statistical or non-statistical is lower than statistical? ऐसा कुछ है? You have to take the decision that in the given situation, which choice would do better job. Okay, that's it. So this much is clear. Can we see the book now a little bit? All right. So this part or sampling and audit procedure, this is a general explanation. You can read it. I have already explained it to you. This is not for learning. It is more for introduction to the topic. It's like an introduction. So you can go through this. Come here, meaning of audit sampling. Okay, meaning of audit sampling. As per SA 530 audit sampling, it refers to application of audit procedure to less than 100% of items within a population relevant under the audit, such that all sampling units have equal chances of selection. So when you are applying audit procedures at less than 100% of population, even if you are doing on 95% population, is it still sampling? Yes or no? Tell me. Even if I have 12 months and I have checked 11 months, is it still a sampling decision? Yes. So less than 100% means sampling. So when you are applying audit procedure for less than 100% items within the population, so that all sampling units have equal chances of selection, that is called as audit sampling. This is to ensure that items selected represent the entire population. Now, what does this mean? Pay attention. What does it mean by representing the population? Let's say that there is a survey. आपने देखा होगा, you must have seen on TV or any ads that some people say India का number 1 shampoo, India का number 1 toothpaste. Have you seen this kind of advertisements? India का number 1 trusted toothpaste brand. Like that you have heard? So did someone came to get survey from you? किसी ने आपसे पूछा आकर ये सर्वे लिया? Okay. Same way, which means what did they use? Which technique was used to give this opinion? Which technique was used? Sampling. Yes or no? Okay. Let's say I am in a classroom. This is a big classroom. And I have decided that this classroom has 200 students. Okay. In school, let's say in school, big class or college, let's say it's a college, it's better. So there is a college classroom and they are bachelors, means UG, undergraduation. Undergraduation is going on. They're 200. And I have a new teacher and I have just started to teach them. Okay. Now I just want to see whether students are understanding what I am teaching or not. So there are students sitting on different rows. Okay. And I am sitting here. Okay. And I have decided that out of 200, I am going to give them a test to write for only 15 marks, 15, 20 marks on some topics. And out of those 200, I randomly select 15 papers. And they have done really well. They have done really well. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm teaching very good. Okay. But what if I tell you that this class has a mix of students who have come from other language medium, English medium, government school, and let's say private school. Then students who have scored less than 60%, students who have scored between 60 to 80%, and there are some students who have scored more than 90%. Now, coincidentally, the sample I selected was from all students who have scored more than 90%. Do you think my sample properly represents the whole population? Do you think by checking these 15 papers, I can or not? When the 15 papers I have selected is from all 90% toppers who are from English medium, who are from private school. No. How will it be a representative? Let's say if I choose this 15 papers, if I would have done like this, that 5 at least from other than English, 5 who are less than 60% scorers, okay, and rest 5 from 60 to 90. Now can I get a better picture of the class? Whether actually students are understanding or not? So what is the most important thing to keep in mind when you are doing sampling? In this, was the population homogeneous? मेरे 200 बच्चों की classroom homogeneous थी? Were they all from same type of background? No. So if the population is very diverse, we have to ensure that we are selecting samples that will represent the diversity. Do you understand? We have to select samples that will represent the diversity. So, which samples are good? The sample that represent the population. Now, do you understand? So, if my class has 30%, 30%, and 40% ratio of different types of students, then my sample should also have 30% from A category, 30% from B category, 40% from C category. Understood? So this is what this line means. The auditor has to ensure that the items selected represent the entire population so that auditor can give proper conclusions. The objective of the auditor is to provide a reasonable basis for auditor to draw conclusions about population from which sample is selected. This I already explained. Now, please remember this definition. Application of audit procedures to less than 100% of items within a population that have an equal chance of getting selected. That's it. Statistical, non-statistical, all this I have taught you. We'll come to the population. We'll take a 10 minutes break and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Technical team? Okay, we'll take 10 minutes break. Is everyone here and back? Can we continue? Okay. All right. So, students, can you let me know quickly? Okay. All right. So, let's understand the population. We have started with SA 530. So, population means the entire set of data from which sample is selected and about which auditor wants to have some conclusions. Okay. So, if I'm checking datas, if I want to have my opinion on datas, whether datas are appearing to be true and fair, so datas become my population. So I will select samples from datas. So datas refer to entire set of data from which sample is selected and about which auditor wants to have some conclusion. Characteristics of population. Please remember this for theory answer. Direct question usually comes. What are the characteristics of the population? Let's go from this bottom to top. Population should be reliable, which means if the data given about data to me by the company is not reliable, can my sample be reliable? If the data about data is given to me by the company is not reliable, can my sample be reliable? No. So the first important characteristic is that it should be reliable. So the information upon which audit sampling is performed is sufficiently complete and accurate. It should be reliable. If the population is not reliable, then the sample drawn will also not be relevant. Simple. Then, if they have given me incomplete data about data, whatever they have given is reliable. But if they have given me incomplete information or incomplete data, so suppose there are 1,000 data, I have asked them for a list, and in that only 99 data are there. Can I draw samples accurately? So the second important thing, हर चीज मेरे सैंपल पे डिपेंड नहीं करता है, कुछ चीजें पॉपुलेशन में भी होनी चाहिए ताकि मैं अच्छी सैम्पलिंग कर पाऊं. ओके, everything is not dependent on my ability to do sampling. Even populations need to do something. So the second important characteristic is it should be complete. Population also needs to be complete so that auditor can properly use the sample to include all relevant items. Okay. If population is complete in all respects, then the conclusions drawn will be reasonable. So if the population is incomplete, then of course my conclusions will be incorrect. Third important characteristic is having appropriate population. I want you all to take 30 seconds and then I want someone from you to speak up and let's see who can understand what it means. So we'll read it. I want to see how many of you can interpret things now. If the auditor's objective was to test for overstatement of accounts receivable, the population will be defined as accounts receivable listing. On the other hand, when the testing is for understatement of accounts payable, the population would not be accounts payable listing, but subsequent disbursement, unpaid invoices, supplier statement, unmatched reports, and other population. Let's see who can try to tell what this wants to say. Yes, Josh. I've
वेरी गुड
unmuted
इवनिंग
you.
मैम.
Good evening, Josh. Tell me.
जी मैम, इसमें ऑडिटर ये कहना चाह रहा है कि जब वो किसी पार्टी की
Hmm,
अकाउंट्स चेक कर रहा है
hmm,
जिसमें वो डेटर्स और जो
hmm,
क्रेडिटर्स हैं
hmm,
उनके जो भी परचेज बिल्स हैं, जो भी उनके पेमेंट्स रिलेटेड हैं, उनको देख रहा है, तो
hmm,
उसको ये चीज़ समझ में आ रही है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इन डेटर्स में हम बता रहे हैं कि जो डेटर्स का जो पेमेंट है मोड बनाने का, वो बहुत ही गलत है. जैसे कि वो कैश भी ले रहे हैं, वो अकाउंट भी ले रहे हैं, और
hmm,
कभी वो अपने अकाउंट में ना लेते हुए कभी थर्ड पार्टी अकाउंट में ले रहे हैं.
hmm,
तो जिसकी वजह से वो डेटर्स का पर्टिकुलरली अमाउंट नहीं मिल पा रहा. या
hmm,
तो कुछ रिसीविंग ज़्यादा ही है जिसकी वजह से इन्होंने सेल्स शो नहीं करा है,
hmm,
जिसकी ये जीएसटी छुपाना चाहते हैं फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. और जो दूसरे क्रेडिटर्स में भी यही सीन है कि जो ये बिल ले रहे हैं, क्या पता ये बिल इनपुट की वजह से ले रहे हैं, और अगर इनको पेमेंट कर रहे हैं तो कैश कर रहे हैं, या फिर ये केवल जो बिल्स ले रहे हैं, या फिर उनकी कुछ भी, इनके पास कुछ भी डिटेल्स नहीं है फर्दर डिटेल्स पेमेंट्स की.
hmm.
ये चीज़ वो इस एग्जाम्पल में बताना चाह रहा है.
नहीं. तो आपने जो मुद्दा चुना वो ठीक है, बट अब इस मुद्दे को टेस्ट करने के लिए आप क्या टेस्ट करोगे, वो आपकी पॉपुलेशन होगी। अगर मुझे डर है, सो लेट मी सी इफ एनीवन एल्स कैन ट्राई, मैं आपको बाद में बताती हूँ सही आंसर क्या है, ठीक है, एक बार जस्ट
ओके।
लेट्स सी व्हाट बालमुरुगन सेज। यस,
Here, ma'am, actually, here there are two different scenarios. One
yes,
is like, receivable, another is payable.
correct,
Okay. Now, and again, like, in the receivable, it is overstatement. Okay.
yes,
So your population should be around, like, around all those things which end up in, like, where it's a, it's overstatement of receivable. On the other hand, the scenario is totally different, where is, like, where it's payable and it's an understatement. So we need to look at all those areas, okay, where, like, where we'll end up with understatement, like, unpaid invoices, unmatched receiving, or, like, yeah, even subsequent disbursement.
okay. Let me ask you a question and try to answer that. So if the test is, which means I have identified a risk, what do we test? We test something where we have some doubt, right? So
Yeah.
what is the doubt statement here? That I think that there might be overstatement of accounts receivable. What does it mean? Overstatement means there might be only 90 debtors, but you have shown 100
100 days.
debtors. Okay.
Yeah.
Here the population can be defined as accounts receivable listing. What is the correlation between this statement? So if I want to check overstatement of accounts receivable, why can I check accounts receivable listing? What is the correlation between this thing I want to test and this population to be tested? That is the question I'm asking. Okay. Think about it. Let's see what Pooja has to say.
Okay.
Yes, Pooja.
Ma'am, in this case, overstatement of accounts receivable, it's matlab checking point is overstatement of account receivables. So in this case, it means that accounts receivable, as you have given examples, 100, that is overall population in which is overstated, मतलब वो ज्यादा है, तो उसी को हम एक पॉपुलेशन मानेंगे। और दूसरे में दिया हुआ है अंडर स्टेटमेंट ऑफ अकाउंट पेबल्स, मतलब अकाउंट पेबल कम है तो हम उसको पॉपुलेशन नहीं मानेंगे बल्कि अदर जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स है उनको पॉपुलेशन के रूप में लेंगे।
क्यों? मेरा सवाल है क्यों?
क्योंकि मैम उसमें मतलब डेटा ज्यादा होगा, उसी को तो हम मतलब चूज कर सकते हैं, उसी में से चूज कर सकते हैं, तभी हमें करेक्ट अमाउंट पता चलेगी।
ठीक है, ओके। Anyone else? Anyone else would like to try? Lohit, you want to try? You are sending me on the chat. Yes, Lohit, let's try.
Ma'am, mostly account receivable listing can be of dummy invoices that the client has created, and for understatement, we may see bank statements where payments have gone and not recorded, or say
Why?
bills.
Why is there a difference that when checking overstatement, you can use listing as a population, but when you are checking understatement, listing cannot be used?
Aging report.
John, you want to try? John Mohammed. Yes.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, in case of the receivable, we call it listing because all our data will be of the same category.
Yes.
But when it's about the payables, we cannot qualify them into a single category, but they were as of different types. We will subcategorize them and we will select population accordingly.
No, that is not the reason. Okay. Do you want me only to give you guys answer now? I was looking for the logic. See. Okay, let me tell you what it means.
Ma'am?
Yes, who is speaking?
Suhaira, ma'am.
I can't see your name. I don't know why. Okay, Suhaira.
Yeah, ma'am, you want the explanation and the meaning of this sentence, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, what I have understood is if the auditor's objective way to test for overstatement of accounts receivable, the population could be defined as accounts receivable listing. So, as the example you've said, if there is 90 debtors, overstatement of accounts they have shown in the books is 100 debtors. So, the population is defined as accounts receivable listing. I think if it is overstatement, then whole of the 90 debtors it is shown that we could
Tick
the
and
whole
check. Yeah.
yeah we can check. But if it is in case of understatement, the population is not defined as the whole listing. No, the accounts payable is not listing as a whole because it is understatement. We may miss some of the information. So
To find that missing information, you have to check other things.
yeah, ma'am.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Suhaira.
Yeah, ma'am.
Good job. So, what Suhaira was finally the correct person and gave proper answer. So, let me explain to you what it means. It does not mean we'll not do data's confirmation. I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you where is the starting point. So, if I think that overstatement has happened, if my doubt is there is overstatement, which means there are datas which should not be there in the list. This much everyone agrees, point by one by one I'll say. Which means there are some datas that should not be there, right? So I can ask them to give me a list of all datas, yes or no? And then from that one by one, can I check? From that one by one, I can perform procedure. On some, I will do external confirmation. On some, I'll do invoice verification. But can this list be used as my base population? First, tell me this. And then out of this 100, I will find evidence for 90, and for 10, I might not find evidence, and hence I will be able to find that this 10 are extra. Yes or no? So if I want to check which extra datas have come, I can use list as my base population. Now everyone understood? That can be my base population. From the population, you select samples, and on samples, you perform audit procedures. Again, listen. The topic is that datas, I am testing whether datas, there is overstatement, which means extra datas, either in quantity or value, have come. Okay? So there is overstatement of datas. To check whether there is overstatement or not, I can ask a list of all the datas. Extra नाम है ना, नाम missing नहीं है, extra नाम है. तो आप मुझे total list दीजिए, उसमें से जिसका मैं सब चेक करूंगी, जिसका मुझे एविडेंस मिला वो सही है, जिसका नहीं मिला मतलब वो overstated है. Josh, is it clear? You asked me to repeat. अब ये contrast में क्यों है? Why is it in contrast with understatement? So, in understatement, what is my fear? What is my fear? That the list is incomplete. Yes or no? What is my fear in understatement? That list itself is wrong. Then can list be my population? Now do you understand? If I think that the list itself is incomplete, what did we study? What should be the characteristic of population? If the population itself is not complete, here, if I'm fearing understatement of creditors, is creditor list the correct population and complete population? No. So, will my population be list? Instead of that, can I take invoice as my population? I will check all the invoices, available invoices. In understatement, what happens? I have missed putting an entry of some invoice, है ना? तो जो मिस हो गया वो इनवॉइस मिल जाएगा ना. तो डेटर की लिस्ट के बजाय मैं क्या चेक करूंगी? सारे इनवॉइसेस की एंट्री हुई है कि नहीं हुई है, या सारे इनवॉइसेस की सही अमाउंट की एंट्री हुई है कि नहीं हुई है. नाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड? So invoices will be my population from which I can select samples. Now do you understand? Invoices will be my population. So when I am checking understatement of anything, the listing, did I check? You can't check ledgers. You can check ledgers to check the payment. You can check invoices. But can I use the same approach as when I use for overstatement? Can list be my starting point? Now tell me, if I am trying to check understatement, understatement का मतलब ही ये है कि list गलत है. Now do you understand? कि list में वो नाम, वो amount missing है, वो amount मुझे ढूंढना है, तो वो मैं list में कैसे ढूंढूंगी? Now do you understand? I have to find that amount or that supplier whose name and amount is missing in the list. So I can use invoice as the base and listing as a comparison. Do you understand? Listing use hogi, but will listing be my population? Invoice can be my population and listing can be my comparative analysis. Now do you understand? So what will be my population? Population is the thing that is complete from which you can extract samples. Now do you understand, everyone? Is it clear? We have spent a lot of time on one example, almost 25 minutes. Okay. So what does it mean? Characteristics of a population. The whatever you are choosing as population, it should be reliable. It should be complete. It should be reliable. It should be complete. And it should be appropriate for the situation. Why is it appropriateness so important? To check data, can I have multiple population? The population can be months of a year, yes or no? The population can be amount wise, means invoices. The population can be list. You have to choose that in given situation, which will you choose as a population? Now is it clear? So if I want to check overstatement of data, is months, dividing the data into year and months, is that a correct way of doing audit? No, because I want to check overstatement. So as per the situation, you have to decide. So auditor will need to determine the population from which you want to draw the sample. Okay, as per your objective. Appropriate means the samples are drawn from relevant population which is appropriate for my objective. So what is my objective here? To test the overstatement. To test overstatement, I can use listing as my population. But if I want to check understatement, listing cannot be my primary population. My primary population can be disbursements, invoices, etc. Okay. That's it. So that is characteristics of population. Okay. Now there is sampling unit. Everyone pay attention. What does it mean? The individual items that make up the population are known as sampling units. What does it mean? Population can be divided into sampling units in variety of ways. The selection from the population that is used as an extrapolation. Extrapolation means as a representative of the sample. So what does it mean? Okay, pay attention. So this is my population. Let's say year is my population. I want to check sales. Year is my population. January, February, March, April, etc., etc. This is my sampling unit. And out of this, I selected February and March These are my samples. Same way, daters. Let's say I want to check daters. Daters is my population. A, B, C, D, E. These are different daters. They are my sampling unit. And out of this, I selected A, D, and E. So these are my samples. Do you understand? ये सब terminology है. Population is the total. How the population is divided into individual units is called sampling unit. And from sampling unit, when samples are selected, that is sample. Is everyone clear? Year is the population. It is divided into January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, etc. That is sampling unit. And from which I'm selecting February and March, that is sample. So population sampling units means individual items that make up the population are called sampling units. Now, do you understand? The individual items that make up the population is called as sampling units. The population can be divided into variety of ways. Who chooses that way? You decide it, how you want to divide. Can I divide sales? Can invoices be my population? Instead of year, can invoices be my population? Tell me quickly. Then invoice number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can this be my sample unit? Let's say invoices are like till 2000. I can't write so much. These are my sampling unit, out of which I selected 3. So this is my sample. Now is it clear? So can same thing have different population? Both I'm checking sales only, but can it have different population? Who decides what is the appropriate population to use for audit? Who decides what is the appropriate population to use for audit? Audit. Good. So the individual items that make up the population are sampling units, and it can be divided into sampling units in variety of ways. Auditor does that. Okay. That's it. Sample must be a representative. This I have already explained to you, statistical, non-statistical. Whether you use non-statistical method or statistical, sample must always be representative, which means it should be similar to the patterns of the population. Not exactly same, but at least similar to the way the population is. Okay. Finished? Let's move on. Now, statistical, non-statistical I have explained to you. I want to first explain to you different methods of statistical sampling, okay? So before we do all this theory, this is our natural flow. So I'm doing in this part, sample selection methods. How are the different methods of selection? Pay attention here. I'll write down the important points of all the methods. And this is one of the most important points. One of the most important topics. So sample selection methods. Methods will be, pay attention. The first method is random sampling. Random sampling method. Random sampling means all population, all items in population or within stratum, known chance of selection. Now, random sampling is divided into two main types. That is simple random sampling or stratified sampling. So, simple random sampling basically means that when there is population is made up of similar or homogeneous units, when simple and homogeneous units are there and equal chances of selection can be there, equal chances of selection, then you can use simple random sampling. Okay, you can use methods like random number table, or you can use help of a computer. I gave you example now. You can use ChatGPT, Siri, Alexa to help you choose. Alexa, give me any 5 numbers between 1 to 50. So it can help you choose. So you can use help of a computer or any random way. I gave you an example, lottery method, right? So all these types of things are called as simple random sampling. But if the population is heterogeneous, that is diversified, then the population is divided into few separate groups. It is divided into few separate groups called as strata. I'll give you an example, don't worry, okay? Then it is divided into something called as strata, okay? Why is it used? Because the population is very diversified. So an example of this. Let's say that I want to check datas, okay? And the datas are from the range 50,000 to 1,50,000. And total 100 datas are there. Can I choose any 20? Can I choose any 20? Do you think this range is very diversified or very homogeneous? Do you think data population is very homogeneous or very diversified? Quickly tell me. If the range of data is from 50,000 to 1,50,000, is it a very similar range or very diversified range? Tell me. Can I choose any 20 from total 100 datas? What if I tell you the population is, some datas are 525 rupees and some are 11 lakh rupees. So datas are from 525 rupees to 11 lakh and total 100 datas are there. Now can I choose any 20 from the total? So in which can I use? In first one can I use random, simple random sampling, or in B I can use simple random sampling? In which can I use simple random sampling? A. Now in B I will have to use stratified random sampling, yes or no? So what is stratified? How do I divide it? Stratified means I can make a range like a slab. I can divide all the data into 525 to, let's say, 50,000. Then I can make 50,001 to 2,50,000. Then 2,50,001, sorry, to 5 lakh. Then 5 lakh to 7,50,000. And then above 7,50,001. Can I divide the whole population like this? And let's say number of datas. Number of datas, I mentioned that this one has 20, this one has 20, this one has 15, this one has 35, and this one has 10. 100? Yeah, 100. Now tell me, from which should I take maximum sample? From which should I take maximum sample? if I would not have done stratification, is it possible that all the 20 would have come from this range? Is it possible? अगर मैंने stratification नहीं किया होता और सिर्फ total में से 20 निकाल लिए होते, तो is it possible that all the 20 would have been छोटा amount, small amount? So do you think simple sampling would have been correct that time? No. Now what do I get? I get a range. So here I know that this might be more material, this might be less material, yes? But still I need to check. So I might do 100% here. Here I might do 50% sampling. So can I change my sampling percentage for each strata? What will this be called? This will be called stratas. So can my sampling percentage change for each strata? Yes. So what is this type of sampling called? What is this kind of sampling called? Stratified sampling. Okay? Stratified sampling. How to divide the population into different groups? Who has to take that judgment? Who has to take the judgment that how to divide the population? Auditor. So here, who took the judgment? Me. Is it possible that your stratas will be different than me? Is it possible that our whole class, each one can make their own different stratas? Sabka alag alag hoga? It's possible. But there should be some logic behind it, some reasonableness. What do we get in audit? We should aim for reasonableness. Okay. So this is stratified sampling. So the first method of sample selection is random sampling. There are two types, simple random sampling and stratified sampling. So this point is clear. Okay. So when do we use stratified? Which kind of population we use stratified? Quickly tell me. Which kind we use? Okay. Now, second type of sample selection is interval sampling or systematic sampling. Interval sampling or systematic sampling. What does it mean? 1 second. Okay, these are plain papers with me. Okay, let's imagine these are invoices. Okay, so you have a file with you and it has all these invoices in it. So if I do systematic sampling, it means I will check, let's say I have taken a decision that I will check every fifth bill. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth bill. Okay, so I'll check this fifth bill. Then again, which bill I'll check? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th bill. So 10th will be my sample. Yes or no? Very good. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay. So what type of sampling is this? इसको कौन सी sampling बोलते हैं? Interval sampling or systematic sampling. Who decides what will be the sample? Who decides interval कितना होगा? Auditor. Who decides starting point क्या होगा? Starting point means, let's say my first starting point is second invoice. My starting point is second. Then if interval is 5, what will be my sample? If my starting point is second invoice, what will be my next sample? Which invoice number? 7th invoice. 7th invoice, 12th invoice, understood? So that starting point, again, who decides? Again, who decides the starting point? Auditor has to decide. Okay. So the second, this is actually a very popular in practical life. This is a very popular method. So you take a file and you check every fifth bill, seventh bill, you decide what is the interval. Okay. So that is called as interval sampling or systematic sampling. Third type. Third type is monetary unit sampling. Monetary unit sampling means, let's say my daters are total 50 daters and the total value is 10 lakh rupees. This is in rupees. This is in numbers. How many total daters are there? 50. How much is the total value of the daters in money? 10 lakh. Okay. In monetary unit sampling, we only take amount as a population. Do you understand? We only take amount as population. So if I take a decision that my total population is 10 lakh, yes or no? 10 lakh. Okay. So I will choose, let's say I have decided as per monetary unit, 5 lakh is my sample. It means any data which has 5 lakh in its bill amount will be checked. So let's say A has 1,20,000, B has 3 lakh, C has 6 lakh. So which data we will check? Which data we will check? C. Okay. So in monetary unit sampling, you give weightage to higher value. Is that clear? You give weightage to the higher value, which means samples are selected from the value of money only. You do not take year, number of items. We do not use them as a base. So in monetary unit sampling, we only take the value as a base. Is that clear? Monetary value as a base. So this is another type of sampling where bigger amounts get more samples. Fourth type. Let's say, again, this is my book, okay? I got a paper cut already. I have to be careful. So let's say this is your whole file, okay? Jo page open ho gaya. Whatever page opens, I'll check that. Oh, third bill. Okay, I'll check third bill. Again, I have rotated. Oh, sixth bill. Okay, I'll check sixth bill. Then, oh, 12th bill open ho gaya. Okay, I'll check 12th bill. What method is this? What method is this? This is haphazard sampling. I don't know in your generation, you do this or not. So during my generation, in free periods or during recess, we used to play book cricket. And book cricket means not like this. We used to take a book and open any random page. And then whatever number used to be there at the last used to be our runs. So suppose I opened the page and the number is 12. So 2 runs like that. So basically haphazard sampling means that there is a file and anything you choose blindly without any bias or structure. No bias, no structure, then that is haphazard sampling. Very interesting, right? Haphazard sampling. So without using any structured technique, you are doing sampling, but still it is statistical sampling. Can you tell me why? It is still statistical sampling and not a non-statistical sampling because there is no bias, no judgment, no predictability. Okay. So this, does it have any pattern? Does it have any recognizable pattern? No. Even I don't know what will be my next sample. Yes or no? Even I don't know what will be my next sample. Okay. So haphazard sampling is also used sometimes. Okay. All right. So this is also haphazard sampling. Everything has a chance of getting selected. Now, but is it an appropriate method when you're using statistical way of doing things? It's not considered very favorable, but still it's a type of method. That is why it's given in our essay. Next type is 5, block sampling. So what happens in block sampling? That if there is a continuous population, okay, so there is a continuous population, what we can do is, I will check, let's say I have created a block and I say I will check first 50 bills every month. So what is this called as? A block, which means let's say January has 100 bills, then February has 50 bills. So in January also, how many bills will I check? 50. And in February also, how many bills I will check? 50. Yes or no? So here my sample was how much? 50%. And here my sample was how much percent? Okay. So block sample means when your population has a continuity to it, you can create a block. So it is similar to systematic, but in systematic you take for individual item. But in block, you take a full chunk. And that is why in block sampling, usually there is a sequence to things that you apply this method to. So this is block sampling. Block sampling is used mostly for this bulky items like sales and purchase, but it's rarely used for other items. It can be used for small items like maybe conveyance or tea and coffee expenses, but for something very important where there can be a pattern, you don't use it. Okay. So this is called as what? Block method. Is that clear, everyone? Everything clear? So what are the 5 methods we studied? 5 sampling methods: random sampling, interval or systematic sampling, monetary unit sampling, haphazard sampling, and block sampling. Okay. This is one of the most important things of the chapter. So this I have explained to you. It can come as a theory, short note, MCQ. Okay. In any method, it can come in your exam. Random, systematic, monetary unit, haphazard, block. So random sampling, I'm not going to go through everything again. I've already explained to you. So you just go through. It can be asked as a separate short note. It can come as a separate short note also. Okay. So they can just ask you, I can just ask you random sampling also separately. It is possible. So please mention simple and this. So explain, give examples. Okay. You have to give examples. So this example is given. Same that I gave you. Same example. So I've explained you the example of the book already. Some keywords, just remember: homogeneous population, equal chance of getting selected, random number tables can be used, auditor's bias does not affect it. So these points you can mention. Stratified means dividing the whole population into few groups called as strata and taking sample from each of them. So each stratum is treated like a separate population. Each strata is like a separate population. So again, they have created this. So you have to give this example in exam. You can change the numbers. You can change the numbers, don't worry. But I'm saying you have to give some example. Preferably use this, but you can change the numbers, okay? You can make any kind of strata, but make it reasonable in exam. So they are explaining. Reasoning is, it is highly diversified population. So this is repeated. Next, interval and systematic sampling. Just remember, is a selection in which number of sampling units in population is divided by sample size. What does it mean? If total sampling units are 50 and I want to check 10, if my sample size is 10, total population is 100. What will be my interval? Oh, let me do a better job. If I want to do 5 samples and the total population is 100, what will be my interval? What interval I can take? 20. Good. So when you divide the total population by the sample size, you will get sampling interval. Again, I'm telling, this is the total population, total 100, let's say, penalty bills are there. So 100 penalties divided by 5 is total what I want to check. So I can check penalty bills after every 20 number. That's it. Using auditor needs to determine the sampling units are not structured in such a way that sampling interval corresponds to particular pattern in the population. Take 2 minutes to read this and tell me what it means. If in a population of branch sales, particular branch sales occurs only as every 100th item and sampling interval is also selected as 100, the result would be that either the auditor would have selected all or none of the sales of that particular branch. Just this much you explained, rest is repetition. What do you think it means? I just can give it 1 minute or 2 minutes. If anyone wants to try, you can raise your hand. We'll just take 1 or 2 people. What does this mean? System, your interval should not be structured in such a way that it corresponds with some pattern in population. Then they have given example. If in a population of branch sales, particular branch sales occur at only 100 item, then sampling interval is also 100. Then this will cause problem. What does this mean? Can anyone explain? Can anyone try? Yes, Ramachandran?
Okay, what this means is that, for example, in a population, for example, a particular branch, say A, every 100th item is coming from that particular branch. Then if you choose the sampling interval as 100, then we will choose all the sample of only A branch. We will miss out.
Very good. Very good. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Very good job. So let's say there is a company, APC Private Limited. They have 3 branches, X, Y, Z. You are auditor of the total company, okay? You have selected sample of 100, interval of 100. But every 100th bill is actually X from the X branch. So at the end, what are we checking? We are literally checking only bills created by X. But if you take 50 or you take, let's say, 110 as your sample, you will miss out on all the bills of the X branch. So whenever you are using systematic sampling or interval sampling, make sure that it is not corresponding to some pattern in population. Otherwise, you will check either the same things or will completely miss out on one other type of things. Is that clear? So please remember when you are doing interval sampling that it is not representing some same thing that is happening in the population. To minimize the effect of possible take through a pattern, more than one starting point may be taken. Multiple random starting points can be taken to minimize the risk. So instead of starting from bill number 1, you can change your starting point for each month. Okay. So for January month, I'll check all the bills with 20 interval, but I'll start from 3rd bill. So 3rd bill, then 23 bill, then 53 bill. But in the February month, I'll start from 1, which means I'll check 20, 40, 60. Now, do you understand? So for each month, can I change? I am not changing my interval, but can I change my starting point? Did everyone understand? My interval is still 20, but each month I have changed my starting point. So can I avoid the risk by doing this? Okay. So like that, you can use some method. Monetary unit cannot, it's nothing, okay? It's just value weighted, where you give more weightage to higher value. For using any conclusion is in the monetary amount, there's nothing in this. Haphazard sampling, when you don't use any structured technique, but you also try to avoid any bias. Okay. It is not a structured approach. It does not involve judgment and does not even use random number tables. This you can remember for MCQ. Okay. Block sampling, I already taught you. Selection of a block of contiguous items within the population. Okay. This again you can read on your own. Again, everything I've explained. Take the example. First 200 invoices from the sales day book in the month of September. Alternatively, you can take 4 blocks of 50. What does it mean 4 blocks? From the starting of the month, I'll take 50 bills. From 15 to 20 days, I'll take 50 bills. From 25 to 30th date, I'll take 50 bills. That is called as creating multiple blocks. That's it. So 5 methods are clear. Okay. We are done with this part. Now I'll teach you something that I have already actually taught you, but it will not take much time. Yeah. Stratification and value weighted. Have I already taught you this? Have I already taught you this? Yes. Okay. Now we are just going to see how to write it if it's asked in exam. Okay. For a short note. Auditor has to determine whether he wants to do stratification or value weighted. So stratification means your efficiency can be improved if auditor stratifies a population by divided into discrete subpopulation which have same identifying characteristic. Okay. So we have to divide the population into various groups, but on some logic. So that is called as identifying and creating stratification. The objective is to reduce the variability of items in each stratum. So each strata will be homogeneous population. Okay. So the total population is heterogeneous and diversified, but we create strata in such a way that each strata will have homogeneous population. Okay. Did you get what I'm saying? It's a little complicated sentence. The population is diversified, but we create strata in such a way that each strata will have homogeneous population. So when I created strata here, where did it go? Yeah. I created strata here. When I created strata here, so this was a diversified population, yes or no? Was this a diversified population? First tell me this much, yes. I divided into different stratas. Now, is this strata of similar population? Is this strata now homogeneous? This strata is homogeneous. So from this, can I select the sample on random sampling basis? Simple random sampling can I use? Yes. So what does stratification do? Stratification makes a diversified population into stratas which have similar population. Now do you understand? Stratification क्या करता है? एक diversified population को छोटे छोटे stratas में divide करके हर एक strata को homogeneous बना देता है. Yes, converts heterogeneous to homogeneous subsets. Very good, Lohit. Very good articulation. So that is stratification. Okay. While performing test of details, the population is often stratified by different monetary value. So higher value items को आप कर सको, divide. So all these things, stratification, dividing a population into discrete subpopulation with identified characteristics, stratification. Each subpopulation is called as strata, a stratum, and population under it is called as strata. So just remember this again for MCQ. Okay. Please remember this for MCQ. So I have explained it again. So I'm not explaining again. Just this example we'll take. 20% of the items in a population may have 90% of the value. So auditor may decide, the auditor evaluates the results of this sample and reaches a conclusion on the 90% of the value separately from the remaining 10%, which means by checking 10% fully, can I check 90% of the items? Yes. So you have to divide it with some logic. Some logic should be there when you are doing the division. Okay. Value weighted. What does value weighted mean? I'll just tell you with a quick example. Value weighted. Again, I'm giving similar, but I want to explain the whole concept. So let's say you are auditing. Again, we'll take datas only. Total is 10 lakh value, okay? Rupees 10 lakh. Let's say A has 5 lakh balance, B has 2 lakh, C has 1,50,000, D has 1 lakh, and E has 50,000. Okay, this much we can see. Now, what will I do? Can I take just, is it a diversified population? First tell me. Little diversified, not fully, but some diversification is there. So instead of sampling on the basis of this, so I will not take this as my population. I want to take this as my population, okay? Instead of taking A, B, C, D name as my population, I take the money as my population. So instead of sampling customers, sample rupees. So what it means? Total population is 10 lakh and sampling units 10 lakh monetary units. 10 lakh monetary units we have. Okay. Now, let's do weighted average. How will we do weighted average? I should have left some space here. So how will I do? So if total 10 lakh is my monetary, then this is 50% value weightage. This is 20% value weightage. This is 15% value weightage. This is 10% value weightage. And this is 5% value weightage. So which will automatically get my more attention? Which has more value weightage? A. That's it. That is value weighted selection. So larger balance means higher chance of getting selected. Your focus is on only material items. Okay. So that is value weighted selection. Very small explanation. While performing test of details, it may be efficient to identify sampling unit as individual monetary units that make up the population. So what was my monetary unit population here? 10 lakh monetary units. Yes or no? So the whole value is divided into money. So it may be efficient to identify sampling units as individual monetary units. Having selected within population, for example, accounts receivable balance, then you examine those items which has those monetary units, okay? So which has the more value, you audit only that. So your effort is directed towards large value items. That's it. There's nothing else. Don't worry, in exam, you don't have to do maths. Okay? That is why you will see I am giving you examples so that you understand. But is there any maths in the book? Is there any maths in the book? They're just given explanation, right? So there is no maths here. So in exam, you don't have to do any calculation. You just have to explain the concept. Okay? That's it. We are done with value weighted. Where is the noise coming from? Please mute all of you yourself. Please mute yourself, everyone. I don't want any noise in the classroom. Okay, so we will take this last thing, sample size. Let's say if I want to reduce the risk in audit, if I want to reduce the risk, will my sample size be more or less? Quickly tell me. If I want to reduce my risk Audit risk. If I want to reduce my detection risk, will my sample size be more or less? So the lower risk that an auditor is willing to accept, the greater the sample size. So if you are willing to accept lesser risk, the sample size will be more. So the sample size is dependent on a lot of factors. Now tell me, let's say you are auditing. Now I'm just going to ask you questions. You have to reply me. This is our quiz today. So pay attention to my question. I'll not write it, just pay attention. If the auditor wants, while doing test of controls, the auditor wants more assurance about the effectiveness of controls, sample will be more or less. If the auditor wants more assurance about the effectiveness of controls, the sample size will be more or less. Okay, good. If the tolerable rate of deviation, if my tolerable rate of deviation is high, the sample size will be more or less. If my tolerance is of a very high amount of deviation, then the sample size will be less. Okay, good. If there is an increase in expected rate of deviation, if there is an increase in expected rate of deviation, the sample size will be, अगर मैं expect कर रही हूँ कि deviation बहुत होगा भाई, तो sample size बढ़ेगा कि कम होगा? Sample size will be larger. Very good. Then if I ask you, if the auditor's assessment of risk of material misstatement is high, then sample size will be large or small. If auditor assesses that risk of material misstatement is high, sample size would be large or small? Large. Okay. If the auditor is performing high amount, so if you want to reduce the detection risk, the sample size will be high or small? If you want to reduce the detection risk, will be high. Okay. If there is increase in tolerable misstatement level, if I have a high tolerance for high amount of misstatement, will my sample size be less or more? If there is an increase in my tolerable misstatement level, will the sample size be more or less? Less. I am able to tolerate even 2 lakh rupees of misstatement. So of course I am checking less. Okay. So you know what did we just do? We did these examples. More assurance auditor needs, low assessment, which means large sample size. Increase in tolerable rate of deviation, then sample size will decrease. Increase in expected rate of deviation, sample size will increase. Did you see what we did? We did this 2 pages. Very important for MCQ only. Okay. So is this a continuous question for an answer? Is this some theory answer? It's a concept which is useful for MCQ. So these examples, an increase in auditor's desired level of assurance for tolerable rate of deviation should not be exceeded by actual rate of deviation, which means sample size need to increase. Examples, full of examples. If auditor has higher risk of material misstatement assessment, sample size will be larger. Can you see? If you want to reduce detection risk to acceptable level, that means lesser assurance will be required and hence smaller size. Okay. There is an increase in tolerable misstatement, then sample size will decrease. Can you see? Have we finished these 2 pages? Did you understand? Please quickly let me know. So we have completed all this part. This is done, this is done, this is done. Stratification is done. Okay. So we have done almost 50-60% of essay 530. We will continue it on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, mostly we have to do this little bit part of sampling. Then essay number 610, that's like an 8 to 10 pages essay. It's quite easy. We can do it in one flow. And essay 550, which is again 3 pages. So we will finish this chapter on Wednesday. That is our last lecture for this chapter number 4. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kashish. Thank you for your kind words. If you have any other question, I'm here for next 1 or 2 minutes. Otherwise, we can wrap up the class. Anything else? Yes, Josh, we'll update it. Okay. Anything else, anyone? Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. I don't think anyone has any question. Technical team? I think we can end the lecture now. Yes, Sohera, you have some question? No. Technical team? Maithili, you have some question? Okay. Technical team, we can end the class. Is someone there from the technical team? Ma'am, can you explain the advertisement? Which part was that, Suhaira? I have given like 100 examples. I don't remember where I gave what. In disaggregated data. Oh, yeah. The example I gave was that in general, GP ratio, NP ratio, sales purchase, they have more predictability pattern and they follow some structure of growth. But advertisement expenses are a category of expense that the expense I have done this year may not have any comparison with the expense I did last year. So usually advertisement is a type of account where there is no pattern and predictability easily, and hence in advertisement, analytical procedure is not very useful as a primary way of doing substantive test. Is that clear, Suhaira? That is all I was saying. So whether you can choose analytical procedure as a way of substantive test depends that with how much accuracy you can predict and create an expectation. Okay. All right. I don't think anyone else. I think technical team, I'm unable to reach them. Technical team, anyone there? Can I end the meeting? I'm not sure. I can leave the meeting. I'm not sure if I can end the meeting. I can leave the meeting, but I can't end. Good night. I need to contact someone from the technical team. Yes, please.